Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. Commitment is the igniter of momentum. Welcome back, guys. Happy New Year 2022. Can you believe it? We are already 22 years into the, it's probably not even a point in calling it the new millennium anymore, but I guess that shows a little bit of my age in the time where we were often excited about the turn of the millennium. And now, getting close to 40, for me, seeing the change and the impact over the last 20 years of my life and how things are moving, what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, and especially as a reflection of the last 22 years, is a new year, build momentum, right? And more than any time in my life, and certainly the history of mankind, technology and progress are moving at a faster pace than we have ever known ever before. So we are now 1 week into 2022, right? And I imagine very many, if not all of you, have made New Year's resolutions, right? It's almost like a default or a must-do thing, right? That everyone is excited about, because we've really been conditioned to see the end of 1 year and the beginning of another as this turning point, right? And it's funny because I guess it's obviously based around time, right? Like a year is a relatively a long time in that it's 365 days. So when we come to the end of 1 year, it feels like more of a milestone. But the reality is, every day is a new beginning, right? Every day is an opportunity to start afresh, right? And create that change that you want in your life, right? So don't just take it as, New Year's is the time, right? Any day, every morning that you wake your eyes, you have that opportunity to make the most of your day and become whoever you want to become, right? So we very much, it's and especially in the West, I'm assuming, I'm not well educated on what it's like in other cultures, but I'm assuming it's very similar in that it's really a human thing. I don't think so much a Western culture thing to have that milestone of a new beginning, right? So all of us want better. That's why we set resolutions, right? We wouldn't have resolutions if we didn't want to grow and improve. And it's probably one of the only times that it feels like people are open and willing to change, right? A lot of times you find people are very afraid of change, right? They're resistant to change. The whole better the devil you know, everyone at some point has a fear of change, right? But it appears that in that New Year's period, New Year's Eve to New Year's Day that we've recently just gone through, is like that window of opportunity where everyone has excitement and joy and anticipation around possibility, right? Excitement around change, because that's what this truly is, right? When we want better for ourselves, and when we set these resolutions, it's us being open to change, right? Inviting it into our universe and being excited about what kind of impact and change we can experience in this new year, right? So the hardest part is let's start with the easiest part is making the resolutions, right? It's very easy to have a goal or a desire or an ambition, or even if you're better prepared, a plan, right? But it's very easy to be a follower and follow that experience, right? That let's set our resolution and let's look forward and you know, it's a thing where it's a talking point. We often are discussing with our friends and loved ones, what's your resolution for the year? You know, what do you want to change? What do you want to see? Right? It's very much it's on the tip of everyone's tongue you know, around this time. And it's very easy to be a follower and to be immersed in doing what everyone else is doing by setting a resolution, but it's harder to be a leader and get that desired outcome for yourself, right? That's where the true work comes, and that comes through momentum, right? It's look at how many, and the classic example, right? Look at how many people want to get in shape for the new year, right? New year, new me, new body, right? And you see a surge in gym memberships, right? Every new year, like if you've ever joined a gym or go to the gym, or you've consistently gone to the gym, you will be very familiar with watching the gym be very crowded and packed with a lot of people in January, right? Which is amazing. Everyone's excited, everyone's got in there, they've taken the first step and they've made that decision, and they've followed through and they've got their gym membership, and then finally and most importantly they're taking action by going to the gym, right? But you'll notice, right, as we head into February, those people start to slowly but surely revert back to the ways that they're very familiar with and accustomed to, and the old habits, old patterns that are easy, right? Because we to change, right, it's work. We very much have limited cognitive resources, so for us to actively be engaged in decision making and transition into new habits, and having to you know, commit to those actions and think about it, and push back against, you know, our brain telling us, take it easy, you don't need to go to the gym today, you know, you're on holidays, relax, it's the beginning of the year, you know, we got time. When you start thinking like that, it's easy to fall back into those patterns, right? And it's hard to you can become exhausted, like when you're using that much of your mind and the capacity to build these new habits, new traits, new thoughts, new concepts, new mindsets. These things often take a lot of our energy, right? More than you believe. You know, the amount of your energy that your brain burns is phenomenal. Now, when you start to see this, if you, as I say, if you ever go to the gym, generally by February, a lot of those people have stopped going to the gym, right? And the joy and that excitement and the potential of new beginnings is really just the tip of the iceberg, right? It's just that little bit sticking out of the surface of the water that you can see, that gives you the sense that there's something more underlying the surface, right? So, and this is one that I think is very important to remember, right? That hype and motivation is a fuel that burns out very quickly, right? Super intense, powerful fuel that doesn't last very long. It'll get you moving, bam, you're off, right? Instantly. Very, very powerful, but not long-lasting fuel, right? Consistency is the fuel that will get us there, right? And you know, the ugly truth of it is it's not sometimes enjoyable. You know, there's times where you have to get yourself in that mindset and that state, and keep yourself there, right? The motivation might be enough to get you off your ass and go to the gym, right? But the consistency is the thing that delivers the results, right? It's only us who can fill that fuel tank. Now, you can, by all means, you know, watch all the you know, motivational videos under the sun. You can spend a lot of time on YouTube and get yourself pumped up, and it's good to get the initial momentum, right? Because momentum builds more momentum. So if that gets your movement, yes, 100% I'm all for it, and I use motivational techniques and tools myself to get me inspired and motivated. especially when you're starting out. But when you get to a point where you are so committed and obsessed with the goal that you're trying to achieve, that that's enough fuel and fire to push you without needing like a pep talk or a hype speech or some inspirational video, right? Because you're being driven by the outcome you know that you're working towards, right? The end point should be driving you more than the possibility video, right? So, as I say, we're a week into the new year, right? And some of us may have already fallen off, and that's okay, because, when you're working towards becoming the best version of yourself, there's stumbles along the way, right? You don't go, let's say, right, you're a week in, and I'll stick with the gym analogy because it's a very easy one, and it's a sort of one that a lot of people can probably relate to, right? That I think at one time or another, all of us have wanted to get in shape, right? So when let's say, we're a week into the new year, and you've gone to the gym for the first 5 days of the year, and then you haven't gone for the last two. That's okay. You need a rest, right? You need time for your body to recuperate and repair the muscles, and give yourself that time to build up the energy and let your body repair enough to go at it again, right? So if you stumble, you don't go, I was doing really good. I was 5 days in and I missed 2 days, and then you lose that momentum very quickly, right? You've still got 358 days ahead of you for the year. Don't stop, right? Don't stop. If you fall over, if you stumble, if you fall off track, that's okay, but get back on track, right? Keep going. And then beyond this year, keep going the year after. It can't stop. If you make a mistake or you fumble or you fall or you need a break, that's okay. But don't let that be your baseline. Don't go back to where you were. Keep going forward, right? So you need the consistency. Consistency is the fuel, right, that you need to arrive 100%. The times where there's times where I don't want to go to the gym, and a little trick. This is as I go through these, and I share with you tools and techniques and principles that I use that have worked for me over the last 7+ years on my journey of doing this. Is a very simple one. Is whenever I don't want to do something that I know is good for me, that's the huge beacon flashing light that I must pay attention to and do it at those times. When I feel like doing it the least is the time I need to do it the most, because those are the times that you're breaking those old habits, those old patterns, those traits that haven't served you well. You're reconditioning your mind, right? And when you start to take action when you least want to, you're programming your mind again to be in a space where when you feel like you don't want to do that workout you need to do, or you don't want to pick up that book and do the study that you know is going to progress you further, or you don't want to put in that extra hour that's going to prepare you for greater wins at work or in your business, right? Do it. Because every time, once you get in the habit of doing it when you least feel like it, every time that little niggling feeling, that voice comes up that says to you, no, not today, don't do it, you will have trained yourself to have that automatic response of snapping into action and doing the action needed when you feel like that. And that's a massive shift. If you can train yourself, and I use this all the time, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's one of those simple and effective tools that if you can get a grip on and pick up on these things. It's another thing, is noticing your feelings and your behaviors and your patterns. And when you're making certain decisions, being aware of that and picking up on it is the first step to being able to take appropriate and more beneficial action that serve you and move you forward towards your resolution, right? This is how you build that momentum. So every time that you're struggling and you feel like don't do a workout, and this especially in the case of exercise, every time I felt like I don't want to do a workout and I do it, I always, I promise you, 100% of the time feel better that I've done it. I have never in my entire life regretted a workout. Even if I'm tired, I'm better for it. And the funny thing is, when I really started diving into health and wellness, I was exhausted all the time when I was doing nothing, and it almost feels like this weird uh, paradox, I think is the word. When the less I do, I thought I would be more rested and relaxed, but I actually feel more energized, and I was sleeping better. Um, the more exercise and workouts I do, I function better. My head's clearer. I've got better blood flow, better oxygen flow. So I'm able to think clearly. I'm able to perform. My body's healthy, and I'm giving myself everything I need to keep this vehicle operating in a way that puts me in the best position to succeed. Right. So when we uh, when we slip and we don't sort of follow that newfound desire and that excitement as the motivation and hype fuel burns away, and we haven't if we haven't placed that consistency fuel in our tank, we default back to our usual patterns, right? Our usual habits, our common routines, because um, when you've conditioned yourself, and I've spoke about this in other episodes, whenever you have uh, whether consciously or subconsciously, your patterns and habits and traits and the things you do, whether you realize or not, condition you, right? So it feels like it's the homeostasis. That's the point where we come back to. So when we're trying to build new positive habits and traits and effective behaviors that move us forward, that are new and foreign to us, our sort of default is to move backwards towards that homeostasis, that baseline level that feels like where we belong, right? And especially if you've spent the last, and this is a great thing that I like to share with you guys, that often people don't realize. If you've spent the last 3 years neglecting your body, eating poorly, drinking too much, smoking, not exercising, not sleeping well, that's 3 years of compounded damage that you've done to yourself. You are not going to fix that in 1 month of a new year, right? It takes time to bring yourself back to a new point and create that new homeostasis, that new baseline, that new threshold, that new point that becomes your sort of middle ground, comfort, default resting area, right? Not that you want to sort of come back and fall there, but it's better to raise that up, and so when you do come back, you're coming back to a higher point, and each time you progress past that, when you fall back to that homeostasis, you're still further ahead than you were, right? So the longer that we carry on bad traits, especially, as I say, if it's been many years of taking or neglecting our health and well-being, it is harder to break those habits and those patterns because we've reinforced them for so long, right? That's the real challenge, right? Is if this is a very new journey to you, whatever your resolution is for this year, that it's something you've been wanting to do for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Everything is possible for you to achieve, but it will be hard. If you haven't looked after yourself for 20 years, it is going to be a harder journey than if you've started and you've only neglected yourself for 2 years, right? So have you ever heard the saying, the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is today, right? So there's no need to be hard on yourself. What's important is taking ownership and being clear and aware of where you are now and making the decision to do something about it. Taking action now. It doesn't matter. The past is gone. If you've haven't taken care of yourself, or let's say you're a smoker and your New Year's resolution is to quit smoking, and you've been smoking for 15 years. Granted, it's not a great way to have spent the last 15 years, treating your body, but if you've committed to it and you made the decision, power to you. You're there. You're making that action. You're taking the action. You've made that call. Today's that new day, and tomorrow is another new day. And if you accidentally, pick up a cigarette, don't stress. Just know that you can keep moving forward from that point, right? And you take the action. Today is the day. Yesterday would have been better, but today is the next best move. So take that action today, right? Don't fall off the rails, and if you do, don't be so hard on yourself. Pick yourself up and keep going, right? So a beautiful saying that Annie Lennox, I think it was. If if you're in my sort of age range and if you're familiar with a group called the Eurythmics, awesome 80s sort of synth pop kind of band. It's, very much that kind of music when I was a kid. And she had a saying where she said, when you're successful, things have a momentum. And at a certain point, you can't really tell whether you have created the momentum or it's creating you. Right? That's super powerful when you think about building momentum, and to get to a point like she was very successful, right? And you think about being in a position where you have put in all this work, built up all this momentum, right? As you get through, you built yourself up, and it gets to a point where the momentum starts to take care of itself, right? Imagine being in that spot where you can't tell if it's your work or the momentum is now pulling and pushing you forward, right? All that you've done is built up. It all compounds, and it makes it easier and faster to progress, right? If there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell, The Tipping Point, that talks about this, right? Where you finally get to that point, and it's just like the snowball, and everything takes off from there, right? And this is what it's all about, right? Build that momentum. Every day counts. Every action you take towards your resolution and the you that you desire to be is a step forward. And when you take those steps forward, the day after you take that step forward, you're stepping forward from a new position, a further forward position. It compounds, right? You don't go back to that initial point. You're moving from where you have now placed yourself, right? That's a little tiny secret that has a massive impact over long periods of time. Compounding, right? So from here, you have to make a plan, all right? Make the plan, and then more importantly than making the plan is sticking to the plan, right? It's one element to make it is the great initial piece of the puzzle, but you have to stick to that plan. The consistency, remember what I spoke of, that fuel that will get you to where you need to go. So another great saying that is one of my all-time favorites, right, that is attributed to Aristotle is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, isn't just an act, but a habit. And life isn't just a series of events, but an ongoing process of self-definition. Right? To me, that sums it up beautifully, right? Excellence isn't an act. It's a habit, right? We don't become great because we walk into the gym one day and we have a good workout and we feel powerful, right? We keep doing that. And you take it down and break it into small bite-sized chunks, right? Where it's a manageable thing. Take it down to the daily level. There's great tools and apps that you can use, like habit trackers, right? And I'm a big fan of them. I use them a lot, where it's almost gamified, where I have maybe 5 or 6 key things that I know are part of my journey of self-progress that I should be doing, or I must do every day. And I know that those things are the steps, the smaller steps that add up to get me to the end goal. So rather than, standing at the base of a mountain on day 5 and looking at the top and going, that's a long way to go, I don't think I can do it, I backtrack and reverse engineer the steps that I need to take, and then I make a daily habit of each of these 5 or 6 things. And if I do them, I tick them off. And it's so satisfying on the app when I have I look at the day and all 5 or 6 are green, and I'm like, cool, I won the day. And then all I have to do is keep doing that every day. And then as I look to the results from the app and I see month by month by month, I can clearly see whether I'm on track or I'm not. You must measure, right? Make the plan, stick to it, record your results, take action, measure your behaviors and their outcomes, and adjust accordingly. These are very, very traditional ways to face this and approach it. It doesn't have to be complex or all these, fancy new approaches or these different things that have never been done. You just have to do the work day in, day out. And it's much easier when you can gamify it and see your results, and you can see that you've won the day, then you can see that you've won the week, and then ultimately, if you win enough days, you win enough weeks. If you win enough weeks, you win enough months, and you win enough months, you win enough years, and you win at life, right? It's really just refining it down to those simple steps that are easy and manageable on a daily basis that compound and add up to the resolution that you're trying to get to, right? Very, very simple stuff, guys. If I can do this stuff, anyone can do this stuff. Like I'm no genius, right? I just got some very valuable lessons from some wonderful mentors and people that had done the things I was looking to do, and they gave me guidance, and I followed their steps, and I did the right things and take the actions that they do, and I get the same results. It's very straightforward when you make it manageable and simple to follow, right? So when that buzz of New Year's possibility fades away, and maybe for some of you that's already feeling like that, right? As I say, we're 1 week in, and you start to feel, maybe I was kidding myself, maybe this was too difficult, maybe I'm okay where I'm at, it's not so bad, right? Like, that's normal to feel that way. You need to rely on your own tenacity. This is where the true challenge begins. And when you go through the challenge and face that hardship and the struggle and the adversity, the rewards are that much greater, because when you get to your resolution and the point, that pinnacle moment that you desire, that you have been chasing, it means more because you earned it, right? What do you think feels sweeter? Winning lottery of $10 million, or learning how to earn $10 million? Which is more valuable, right? They're both $10 million. Which is more important? Which means more? Right? Think about it. If you win the lottery, instant money, $10 million, life-changing, right? But when you get to that point where you don't understand money, you haven't earned it, you didn't learn how to generate that wealth, very easy to lose it. How many people win the lottery once, let alone a second time? But I guarantee you, that person that has done the work day in, day out, been consistent, forgot about all the hype, has put the effort and invested in themselves, learnt that skill to make that money, no one can take that away from them, ever. Lose the money, you know how to make it back. That 10 million is so much sweeter because you understand it wasn't handed to you. You earned it. It was something that you did everything within your power to achieve. And when you've done something once, you can do it again. Right? How powerful, what is that skill set really worth, right? The ability to earn $10 million is worth far more than $10 million, right? Just as an example, right? Now, when you get to that point, ultimately, you will meet yourself at your resolution, right? And the most beautiful part of all of it is wherever you end up is always better than where you used to be. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. I want to leave you on that note. I wish you well. You know that you can do this, and I believe in you guys, and everything that you desire can be yours. Just be consistent. Break it down into simple, easy, manageable steps on a daily basis that make you that help propel you up to that end goal where you want to be. Set a timeline. Set a date on it. So give yourself accountability and go for it. Go all in, right? Leave nothing on the field. Keep going and you'll get it. I promise. It just takes work, and consistency is the key. All right, so build that momentum. Keep going day in, day out, and see who you could become. Thank you guys for joining me. This is Wade Vincent signing off, and I will talk to you again next week. Have a great 2022 and be consistent.